Naoto Khan once said, if you are unable to understand the cause of a problem, it is impossible to solve it. But many of us think that we know the cause of a problem and then we react to try to solve it. The problem, though, is that we sometimes don't dig deep enough to understand what the root of the problem is. And that brings to mind a second quote that I've used for years. It's been around since the 1500s is you can't see the forest for the trees. And so that begs the question, if you are so close to the problem, how the heck can you get to the root, let alone come up with a plan to overcome it? And that is coming up next on Marc Haine Live. Welcome back to Marc Haine Live, where small business owners and entrepreneurs pick up some core skill sets to help them work on their business, not just in their business. I am your host, service expert, and master of experiences, Marc Haine, and today I am really excited to be speaking with a returning guest, awesome business strategist, Rony Pawar. And we will get to him in just a moment, but at the moment, I would like to know if you have subscribed to my channel. To all those people who have subscribed to my channel, I just want to say how grateful I am that you trust me to bring you valuable content and that you're tuning in each week without fail. I think that you are fabulous, and I can't thank you enough for helping me make this channel great. I should have a hat that says, "Make my channel great again." It'd be cool. If you are joining me for the very first time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope today's info is going to be of great value to you and, of course, your team. As always, I strive to bring you content that you can apply immediately as a leader or business owner. If you find this information valuable, please do click the thumbs up button, leave a comment in the comment box, and please make sure that you share the information. As you've heard me say in multiple other episodes, information is power, but it's only powerful if you share it. So please go ahead, share it to people who you know could use the information. I came across an interesting statistic, and that was during COVID-19, 92% of all American small businesses that are making it through the pandemic have made at least one pivot to get through the shortfall. And yet the numbers released by Statistics Canada on September 29th, Canada saw over 56,000 business closures in June. But what's equally surprising is that although we had all those closures, nationally in June, there were almost 53,000 new businesses that launched during the pandemic. To throw more data at you, just so that wasn't enough, KPMG this week released some more not so good news. They indicated that 31% of small and medium-sized businesses believe that they don't have the finances to survive through a second wave. And more than half has said that their immediate focus in their business is survival, just to get through another day. So my big question for you is, what businesses are launching today? What kinds of businesses are doing well, while existing businesses are closing? And an even bigger question for you is, of course, our question of the day. So I'd like to know from you, what have you done in your business to ride out this pandemic? I was just on a Chamber of Commerce call earlier today, and they were talking about all these different businesses that have closed, and yet some of them are just thriving. They've just been able to find a way to get through by readapting their business. And in a previous episode where we talked to our particular speaker today, Rony Pawar, we talked about the need to adapt and adopt. And in other episodes, we talked about the possibility of reinvention and not getting into the Titanic syndrome. We had another episode where we talked about being able to pivot. So, were you one of those companies that were able to pivot during the pandemic? Why don't you put a notification or a comment in the comment box and just share your experience of how you're handling this pandemic? As I mentioned, my guest today is Magnum Growth Consultant and Business Strategist Rony Pawar. Rony appeared in the previous episode talking about how we need to adapt and adopt new ways of thinking in order to shake ourselves out of our status quo. Rony works with businesses that want to create effective leaders and improve their operations to achieve long-term sustainable growth. He is an Amazon #1 bestseller and award-winning author of Size Does Matter, Grow Your Business Thinking Big, and he is the creator of Leapfrog Framework that helps businesses catapult themselves to success. And if that's not good enough, he's also the recipient of the prestigious Army Medal for Leadership and Valor and is a semi-professional dancer, having won international levels of dance competitions. And the guy just achieves everything. Like he is like the Patrick Swayze of business. Welcome, Rony. Welcome back to the show. It's so great to have you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marc. Thank you for having me here again on your show. I love talking to you. Every time I talk to you, I learn something. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. I couldn't introduce myself better than that. So thank you so much. You're very kind of you. And I love your show. I love the other episodes that you've done. Just bundle of knowledge for small businesses. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. Maybe you could start off by telling us a little bit about what you do for your clients.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I own a consulting firm called Magnum Business Growth Consulting. And I consult with the SMEs, small and medium scale businesses and entrepreneurs, and I help them grow their business three different ways. One is to help them strategize and plan and execute for their strategy. And then I help them through process improvements. And the third thing is through leadership and people development.
Just out of curiosity, how did you get into this line of work?
Oh boy, it's been a long journey. How did I get into it? Well, I started my career in the military back home in India, and it's funny. I live in Canada now, but I've been here for the last almost 20 years. I still call India home. Um, so I grew up there, and I was in the military, and then after about I think 6 years, yeah, I did my MBA in New Zealand and went into the corporate world. And I worked in diverse industries. I worked from a dairy industry milking cows in New Zealand to the banking. I worked for big banks in Canada, CIBC, the Canadian bank, Citibank, which is a global bank, and then some of the other fintech companies. And I've worked for some smaller startups as well. So and Ministry of Economic Development and Growth, helping businesses in Ontario grow and scale up. So I've done a whole bunch of things. And then when I was leaving the ministry, I was like, okay, what's next? What's my next opportunity and challenge? What do I want to do next? And I was really enjoying what I was doing. So I decided to start my own consulting practice to continue to work with small businesses. And because working with them also inspired me to write my book, Size Does Matter, Grow Your Business Thinking Big. And here's the book for your audience. And yeah, so that's how I got into this, and it's been incredible. I didn't know what I was getting into initially when I became a self-employed business owner. I was like, oh boy, what did I get into? But it's fun. It's challenging at times. It also forces you to be on your toes and continue to innovate and do different things. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And it's so funny. Well, I'm thrilled to have you back because we had such great response to the last time you were here, and I can't wait to delve into today's topic. But just so everybody knows, this episode is brought to you. It's my turn now. It's brought to you by my book, Lights, Camera, Action: Business Operational Excellence Through the Lens of Live Theater. It is a book that tears down what it takes to put on a great show for your customers, no matter what business you are in. To get notifications when the book is released, please go to my website, marchaine.com, click Lights, Camera, Action tab on the top, and click the Coming Soon button. That'll register you for the notification when the book is published. So the link is down below. Don't be shy, register, and you will be the first one to know when the book is released. So, Rony, I started today by talking about how operators aren't necessarily equipped to see the forest for the trees. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to you?
Absolutely. But before I do that, I just want to show the audience this special copy that I received of your book, and I love it. So thank you so much. I highly recommend this book. You've done a great job with this book, by the way. The tools, the worksheets that you've added to this book are just fantastic.
Oh,
If I'm a
thank you
small
so
business
much.
owner, I love it. Yeah.
Thank you
And
so
thank you,
much. It's
by the way,
kind of you
for
to say
sending me
so.
the.
It was nice that you also did the write up for it. So you did one of the testimonials for the book on the back cover. So thank you so much for doing that for me as well.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. So, talking about forest from the trees, yeah. So, when you're close to your business and you're kind of inside the box, it's hard for you to, think outside the box, and it's hard for you to see your opportunities because most of the opportunities or the best opportunities usually are in your blind spot. And it's important for business owners to get different ideas, get an outside perspective, and that's where I advise them to work with either outside consultants from time to time, or get a business coach, or use your peers to bounce ideas off, or if you have a team of employees and management team, get them involved and bounce ideas off them.
Another interesting quote that I love is from Albert Einstein. He says, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." How does this apply to some of the businesses that you've encountered?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't he a brilliant man? So it's so here's an example. So I've got a couple of clients that I've been coaching through this COVID period. We started working together just after COVID, and both these have been in business for one's been in business for about 10 to 12 years. The other one's been in business for about 30 years. And they came to me saying they have no opportunities, right? And with one of them, we were able to identify 20 opportunities. And the first two opportunities were worth 150% of their prior year's revenue, right? So 150% jump in revenue by just implementing two opportunities if they go ahead and implement that plan, right? So so it is all about doing things differently. So even if you've been in business for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you've been doing things a certain way, and now suddenly we are in this unprecedented economic conditions, right? Socioeconomic conditions, which we've never seen the like of this. And most businesses are thinking they're in survival mode, and they're thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? There are no opportunities to grow, etc. But there are tons of opportunities. It is about going and finding those opportunities. It is about spending the time to strategize and plan for your business and plan how you're going to pivot with these times, right? How you're going to adopt technology, for example, right? And you shared the stats at the beginning of this, right? There are 53,000 new businesses that started during COVID time. So there are opportunities out there, and you just have to, think outside the box.
Yeah. And, I guess it begs the question, what does it take to think differently?
Yeah. So what it takes to think differently is challenging yourself, right? And involving other people in it. You can't do everything yourself. So to think differently, you have to be open to receiving, and you should be open to sharing.
Mhm.
So that's where it happens. You engage your employees. If you have employees, if you're a solopreneur like me, then you engage your friends, family, or other consultants, or even tap into your EDO, economic development officers at the city. Usually there are resources available, or business bureaus, local business bureaus, or if you're a member of any other business forum or business groups, tap into your peer group,
Mhm.
right? And they'll help you think outside the box. But the mindset is what I'm talking about. It's the mindset that you bring to the table. Are you open to receiving or not? And are you open to sharing or not, right? And if you're not, if you're closed and you're going to just wait this out, that this wave is going to go away, well, it's been a year almost now, right? And it's still here. We were thinking it's going to go in the summer. It's still here. Now we've got the second wave hitting us, and some of the provinces have actually regressed, like Ontario, as an example where they've regressed. We've seen some of the countries go back into second lockdown.
Yeah.
So can the businesses afford another lockdown? I don't think so. 32% businesses in Canada think they will not make it into the next year,
Yeah.
and they will not survive another lockdown.
And
So they have to
and I
pivot.
guess
They have
that's
to
the
adapt.
danger of not exploring what you could do differently. I do come across a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small business owners, and they say, I'm in this business. And they are so focused on the fact that this is what they've done for 15 or 20 years that they can't see what other opportunities exist. And so the danger now, of course, of the not being able to change your mindset and not kind of tapping into the magic that is out there to help people reinvent is the fact that they're one of the ones that are saying, we're just in survival mode. We're just doing the basic necessity that we can to keep on going so that we can still ride this storm out. But the reality is that the most successful people are the ones who are able to make those pivots. Yeah.
Totally, totally, yeah. And it depends on what your goals are, right? If you haven't done a good job of setting your goals, then you're heading nowhere. So when you're heading nowhere, you just spin your wheels and you stay where you are,
Yep. Stuck in the mud.
stuck in
Or
the mud.
sorry, we're
Totally.
Canada. Stuck in the snow. So I want to get
Yeah.
into some details as to steps that operators and leaders need to take in order to kind of shake themselves out of their situation. But before we do that, I'd really like maybe if you could let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So they can get in touch with me. Oh, well, talking about that, I was going to give my email, but I've got a webinar coming up. So I have a webinar it's a free webinar on November the 18th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And so that's 12 p.m. Eastern time. So more than welcome to join the webinar. And I'm going to be talking about leapfrog. I will be introducing the leapfrog concept that I've developed this framework and how you can use to identify opportunities and grow your business. And other than that, you can email me at ronyp@magnumgrowth.biz.
Nice. Nice. So we did have it up on the screen so everybody could get the connection to it. And there is a link in the show notes as well so that people can get in touch with you. They can click the link and they can get in touch with you and of course register for this amazing webinar. I am just so happy that I'm going to be your facilitator for the session. So I'm excited by that and I'm excited to see
Thank
how
you.
you uncover your leapfrog framework. It's going to be amazing. I hope this is making sense to you as a viewer. I hope that this is information that you think that will kind of get the gears in the brain kind of shaking up a little bit and stirring things up so that you can start now looking at maybe other opportunities. If you do have any comments or you have some experiences you'd like to share, please do put it in the show notes down below and I would be more than happy to respond to them, get Rony to respond to them, whatever we need to do in order to get you the information that you need. And of course, as I mentioned before, if you know somebody who could use this information, please go ahead and share this post with them. So Rony, in past episodes, we talked with the fabulous Barbara McKenzie from Business Link as to what it takes for businesses to pivot. But that is so much easier said than done. Before they can really do any of the, pivoting, reinvention, and so on, they need to understand, I think personally, I think that they need to understand the root cause of their issues. With everything that we've been talking about today, are there any steps business operators can take right now to delve deeper to uncover the root causes of their issues?
Totally. Yeah. So one is they can Google, right, and see what's what's going on out there and what are the problems. Or they can ask their employees. Usually they will tell them, hey, what the problems are. I've found whenever I've been managing employees, they come to you with the problems, not necessarily the solutions. However, if you involve them in the solution building, then they become part of your strategy building exercise. But jokes apart, I call it PCI method, right? PCI is problem, cause, and impact. So take an actual whiteboard and write down on the whiteboard. Or if you don't have a whiteboard, just take a diary or a paper and a pen and write it down because you will forget it, right? Write down all your problems. And then for each problem, write down the root causes that you know of for that problem, right? And then write down the impact of that problem. And then when you write the impact of the problem, you will realize that some of the problems have a big impact, some of them have a low impact, and some of the problems will give you opportunities. So look for those opportunities in the problems because your opportunities, like I said earlier, they're usually hidden. They're hidden in your blind spot. And as you identify these problems and the root causes and the impact will actually tell you which one to focus on, right? Because you've got limited resources, limited energy. So you want to focus on solving the problem that gives you the best bang for your buck. So there'll be some low hanging fruit. So you go and knock it off immediately. And for the other ones, you build a plan, right? That is where you build a plan. And some of these are going to be within your control. Some of them are going to be outside your control, like this pandemic. You can't do anything about it. Outside your control. Stop whining. Stop worrying about it. Stop blaming it for everything, right? And start doing things that are in your control that you can change for your business, right? So make a plan for those things that you can change in the next 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So have your quarterly plan, your biannual plan, and your annual plan, right? And then revisit these plans to see whether you're on track or not, etc. And then for those problems that are outside your control, think about those. Are you just going to let them take control of you, or are you going to do something about it? So this is where you can adapt and you can pivot, right? This is where you innovate. So innovation is the key for the game if you want to survive, if you want to play the long-term game for your business and stay ahead of the competition and stay ahead of these pandemics or cyclical economic downturns. They're not going away. The downturn comes every 7 years, 10 years, right? So what are you going to do? So you want to make sure that you have the flexibility in your strategy to pivot when this downturn happens. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no. So, one of the things that you mentioned, you kind of just hinted at. I'd like to know, how important is it to bring your team in on this? You mentioned like this, all this work, and I can imagine that there's some entrepreneurs that are pulling out their hair, going, "It sounds like so much. I don't even know where to start." And yet, I know that a lot of them are hesitant because they're the boss to break out and say, rally the team, bring people together and say, guys, here's the reality. Let's brainstorm some stuff. How important is it, what you're talking about, to leverage the power in your teams?
Yeah, it's extremely important, right? I mean, you can't do everything on your own. If you have a team, you're lucky to have a team. Use that team, right? Bring them into the brainstorming process and then delegate. Learn the art of delegation. Sometimes we want to do everything ourselves. We want to wear, as entrepreneurs, we continue to work in the business rather than working on the business, right? And in the businesses, we wear multiple hats. You can do everything yourself. And as a result, you don't end up working on the business. You never do the planning, etc., that you need to do to grow your business to the next level. So in this case, bring the team on and involve the team in not just identifying problems, but the problem solving. And then the action planning of it, and assign owners in your team who's going to do what, and the timelines by when things need to be done, and then hold them accountable to it.
Right,
Right.
right.
Um, the other thing I would like to mention here is, if you don't have a team, then what do you do? Right? Then that's where you either bring in, you call Marc or you call Rony, right? Or
Shameless
or
plug.
or you work with your peer group. If you are part of any board of trade or any other, you have a circle of friends who are entrepreneurs, you bring them in. Obviously, don't bring in a competitor, somebody who's not a direct. By the way, with competitors, you can actually collaborate, and this is a good time to collaborate with competitors because everybody's feeling the pain, right? So that if there are opportunities there, by all means, identify those opportunities and bring them on board. But find resources, build a team around you of well wishers and people who can help you figure things out and brainstorm these things with
Yeah, yeah. I've seen the magic of what brainstorming can do. And, having grown up in the 80s, where, you really did have this hierarchy where the bosses knew everything, and God forbid you should question them. And you expected, you went to them and they had all the answers and so on. I've, having grown up through that and then been exposed to the power that brainstorming can do, the fact that you can do group facilitations, like even to get somebody, one of the things I do is I do the challenge dialogue system network system program, which is a level of world-class facilitation techniques to be able to pick all that knowledge that's in people's brains and be able to bring it to the forefront to say, you know what, there might be something here that you never ever considered. And I know that you do the same kind of thing. So before we go, actually, I want to delve into leapfrog a little bit. But before we do that, what are some of the cautionaries to business operators looking to innovate? Like, what are some of the things they should try to avoid at all costs?
Yeah, good question, Mark. I think the first one is don't do nothing, right? A lot of businesses right now are just waiting and they're just trying to survive and not doing much. They're like, okay, let's save whatever we can and let's not invest in the business and let's wait for this pandemic to get over. Well, guess what? The pandemic is here to stay, looks by the looks of it, right? It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now they're saying the economy is not going to be back to normal until 2022. And who knows, right? I
Yeah.
mean, some of the countries are going into a second lockdown. So not doing anything is not a good strategy, right? So figure out what do you need to do. Like I said, use the PCI method. Identify your problems, the root causes, and the impact of those problems, and then do something. Have a plan, strategize, build a plan of what you're going to do, and get into action immediately, right? That's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is you can't do everything on your own. So engage other people into it, right? Engage other people, build a team around you. If you don't have a team, if you're a solopreneur, who else can you bring in into your business to brainstorm, right? Without breaking the bank. So, feel free to call me. I'm happy to give half an hour of free consult to help facilitate that dialogue. Or bring your peer group, like I said earlier, right? And the third part is stop playing the blame game. It doesn't help, right? A lot of us, and I've done it, I'm guilty of that, right? All of us are blaming this, oh my God, this COVID pandemic, it's so bad, it's killed the economy, it's done all these bad things to us. But that is what life is all about, right? Life is not an even keel. Life is all about up and down, right? So after day there's night, and after night there's going to be, after darkness there's going to be light. So how do we deal with that, right? So keeping a positive mindset is very important, and if you have a team helping them, leading them positively is very important as well.
Yeah. And the idea, one of the biggest things, and I think what the episode I think that I launched this podcast with was the episode on now it's time to do something. All too often people hold back and they say, I don't have money to do things, and I don't have, I don't know where the next paycheck's going to come from. I don't know when I'm going to get paid next. So I
Yeah.
better not do anything that's going to burn through my money or whatever. And yet, I can absolutely say that since March, I've made precious little money in March myself because I'm a professional speaker, I'm a facilitator, and all that dropped to the wayside. But what I did do was I did stop and I refocused. I did stop and I reinvented. I did stop and I put assets together now that as we start coming out of this, I know that I'm going to start to be able to shine and probably more than likely make more money than I've ever made before. So, and I don't say that to brag. I just say that to, I had the contingency plan, that I had the finances to help me through it. Plus, businesses now can leverage all the different government programs to help that happen. So, having said that, Rony, we know that this is not kind of the end of the world, right? And what I appreciate, in you talking to me about your leapfrog framework was that this is a great opportunity to dig a little bit deeper into one's business and look for opportunities that you didn't even know existed. Can you tell me a little bit about what this framework is, and dig a little bit into what they can expect maybe at the on the webinar in on November 18th? What can they expect at the webinar? What are you going to be uncovering? What is leapfrog? It's your show. Go.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mark. Yeah, without giving away the plot, I would say keeping the interest alive so that people come to the webinar to learn more about it. So leapfrog is a concept that I picked up from the military when I was in the military, believe it or not. Leapfrogging is military tactics. It's a maneuver used by business, not business units, but military units, combat units to gain tactical advantage. It's a fire and move maneuver to gain tactical advantage over the enemy. So and in business world, it means skipping a stage of the life cycle and going to the next one. So for example, if you're going from point A to point D, you skip B and C and leap to D, right? That's the whole simple concept. Now, in my concept, you can do it two ways. one, you can do it exponentially. You can take one big leap if you have a disruptive idea, right? That can help you leap forward exponentially, or you can do it incrementally. You come up with few different small ideas that give you exponential growth, right? So that's the concept. And the acronym Leapfrog stands for something as well. So L is learn, E stands for evaluate, A stands for adapt, P for plan. So that's where all the strategic planning happens in the first part. And the frog part, it is where you execute the plan, right? In the frog, so F is form, R is for realize, right? O is observe, where you observe what you're doing and then make adjustments to your execution. And then G is game on. This is where you continue to grow and continue to, I call it constant improvement. You put in constant improvement plan where you're continuously innovating to stay ahead of the game, right? And if you want to know more about what goes into each of these components, there are a whole bunch of things that happen within LEAP, FROG. So if you want to know more about it, come to the webinar.
Nice. And so who is the webinar for, Rony?
Good question. It is for SMEs, small and medium scale businesses and entrepreneurs who want to grow their business and who want to identify, who are frustrated right now with the conditions and who want to identify their opportunities and then put a plan in place, a strategic plan, not for just these opportunities, but for long term as well, and then execute on it. So it's a framework that'll help you do all of that.
And so it really seems to me like it could be operational wise, it could be like whole scope business, but it can also be departmental, it seems like, from what you were describing.
Yeah, so it's a thank you for asking that question. It's actually the framework has the flexibility to be applied to organizational level strategy and opportunities, and then you can take it and bring it down to department or functional level and apply it there, and it'll help you in the same way that you can do it at the organizational level.
Nice.
So
So I'm going to play devil's advocate and ask you, who is Leapfrog not for?
So Leapfrog is not for people who don't want to do anything, who want to just sit back and watch how this whole thing unfolds. It is not for people who are not interested in growing their business. It is not for people who don't necessarily want to put the time into strategizing, having a plan, and then holding themselves accountable. It's funny. A lot of people don't build a plan, because in the plan you have to make your goals, because then they are accountable to those goals. So if you don't want to hold yourself accountable to those goals and to that plan, then it's not for you.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about this idea that, if you made a vacation, if you were going on vacation, would you just get in a car and start driving, or would you actually just make a plan?
Yeah. So it is like when you plan when you go on a vacation, let's say if you're going to Europe from Canada, you will do so much planning. You look at the flights, you look at where you're going, the hotels, what's the best place to stay, what are things to do there, etc. You'll spend a considerable amount of time planning that vacation. And I'm surprised some of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with have spent less time planning for their business, where it is going. They just go in every day, fight the fires continuously, do the same thing again and again, spinning their wheels, and then they're like, yeah, the business is not growing, right? And then when the economic downturn hits, they don't have enough savings to get past that, right? And they don't have the means to pivot or the resources to pivot. So if we spend so much time planning for a vacation, I'm sure we can spend the time planning for the business. The challenge is that a lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs, they know what they do very well. If they manufacture an iPhone cover, they know everything about that, but they don't necessarily know other parts of the business, right? So that is where you and I come in, and to help them do that planning, do that strategy, show them how to run the rest of the business. And this is where I encourage them to get a business coach, to work with a consultant to do the strategy plan. And in the Leapfrog, actually, in the webinar and the course after that, I'm teaching them how to fish. So I'm teaching them the method on how to do all of this planning, how to identify these opportunities, and how to strategize, and then how to execute. So you learn it once, and then you apply it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you get your team involved so that they learn it as well. So then everybody understands how to go about doing it. Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
When you mentioned leapfrog to me, I got so excited by the prospect of what that can do for people, especially people who don't want to hire outside consultants. If they can learn this framework, then they can be their own consultants. They can have a leapfrog specialist on their team if to help
Totally.
brainstorm departmental issues or customer service issues or overall business operation issues. It's really a very flexible framework, and I can't wait for you to unleash it to the world on November 18th.
Thank you, Mark.
So, Ronnie, this has been so great. We're running out of time, but could you just one last time just remind everybody how they can get a hold of you if they want to pick up the phone and take you up on your 30-minute offer?
Absolutely. They can go to my website. It's magnumgrowth.biz. And there's a form there. They can fill that out, and we will then go from there. It'll send me a note, and I'll reach out to them. They can email me if they want to at Rony P, Rony P at magnumgrowth.biz. Or they can come to a webinar on the 18th of November, 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. Eastern, and that'll be
And
the
uncover
best thing
leapfrog.
to learn how to do leapfrog. Yeah, and leap ahead, jump ahead. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Ronnie, thanks again. I really appreciate you being here to share your knowledge, your passion, and of course, your expertise. You know,
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
you've been fantastic. I can't wait to have you back again. Every time we do this, we have a load of laughs and we start really getting cerebral on some stuff.
I would love to. I would love to be back, and I learn every time I'm on your show. I learn something new. Every time I watch your shows, I learn something new. So thank you for bringing the experts, and thank you for doing this for businesses like myself and your audience.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Why don't you give a thumbs up to this if this was of value to you? As always, my offer stands. If you would like 30 minutes of my time to brainstorm your business with you and your team, please feel free to book yourself on my calendar down below. It's the one that's linked to meetme.so/Marc Haine. As always, I am at your service. And if you haven't done so yet, why don't you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell? That'll give you first dibs whenever I bring you some fresh content that will help you work on your business, not just in your business. My name is Marc Haine. I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, and dare to be the exception.